I didn't care how she got there, how she got to the realization of, I want to be able to be myself more. I want to be able to walk in my authentic self. I don't care how she got to that point. It was just the realization of, at all costs, if you can't do nothing else, you have to be yourself. And you have to be yourself to the best of your ability.
What's going on, y'all? Welcome to another episode of Romance and Real Estate, where we
help you level up in life, love,
and money.
Let's go. All right. So, man, before we get started, make sure to hit the subscribe button, like, comment, give us some feedback. You know what I'm saying? If this is your first episode, make sure to check out some of our other episodes. I promise you're going to get great value from these ladies. You know what I mean? How y'all doing?
They're going to get great value from you, too.
Yes.
There it is. There it is. There it is. For sure.
Yes.
How y'all doing, though?
Doing good.
Yes, doing excellent.
Yes.
All right, cool.
Except...
Hold on.
You know, we had our conversation earlier.
Hold on.
You know.
Before we get started, I want you to know that me and my guy Will, man, got this thing going on that's super dope that you can take advantage of. It's called ALF Experts. So what's ALF Experts? It's where me and Will basically help you get started in home care, assisted living facilities, and things of that nature. Like, what you got to know is that you could go get rental properties and turn them into assisted living facilities. It's pretty dope. It's a situation to where it's like you said, it's like a McDonald's.
Yes.
You're getting the money from the burgers and you're getting the money from the real estate.
Exactly.
You know, in this case, I think that, you know, you want to be somebody who is interested going into the home care field. And you have to understand it's just not a real estate play.
Right.
It's an active play where you actually have to have a business within the business.
That's
right.
right.
And so the one thing that I want to share with you today, though, is that it's home care and assisted living is a sweet situation. Why? Because even if you look at home care, there's a low barrier of entry, cost of entry, meaning that you could have a computer. You know what I'm saying? You could run your own interviews. And once you have all the waivers and everything you need, you could basically be getting referrals from the government. You know what I mean? So like, it's a situation to where it's a necessity. It's just very promising in the sense of recession proof. You're getting paid by the government, so you don't have to chase people for money.
Right.
And it's something that you can scale over time that's not going to go away. This is not a get rich scheme, get rich fast scheme, but I think it's just something that everybody could benefit from.
I love it.
You know, especially if you're in a position where you're trying to, like, you know, figure out what you want to do next in life, especially in a recession. Too easy.
Right.
Now, as you were saying, we was having a conversation.
Yes. And we love to pay attention to the language that is used. So, you know, even when there's something said and it's like you want to make amends for it, I believe you guys were saying, I'm sorry.
Yes. So to give some context.
Yes.
Okay.
Something happened and Mike said, I'm sorry.
Yes.
And so it was stated, hey, don't feel sorry for yourself.
Right.
And so I was just listening to the conversation. I was like, wait a minute. He apologized. He said he's sorry. Then you pointed out that I said the word apologize. And then you kind of articulated, I don't want to put words in your mouth, that an apology is different than a person saying, I'm sorry.
Correct. Two different things.
Can you go into that, please?
Absolutely. So we pay close attention to language.
Yes.
And sometimes when we talk about the importance of communication, there's a strong emphasis on what we say to other people and not much of a focus on what we say to ourselves.
Okay.
So to communicate that, hey, I did something that may have offended you and I want to make amends for it, it's helpful to say, I apologize. That's the action that you're putting forth to the listener. When you say, I'm sorry, that's what you're telling yourself. You're labeling yourself. You're saying, I'm sorry. I'm is the contraction for I am. And you're literally saying, I am sorry. And what we don't pay attention.
That's not feeling like bad for what you did to hurt the person or, you know, or disrespect somebody by accident, by selecting the wrong words. Like I feel bad. That is pointing to me though, right?
You're expressing a feeling. But I am sorry is not expressing a feeling.
Okay.
That's expressing a state of being. I am.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
Okay.
And so what you tell yourself matters. Think about how much of a focus there is on affirmation and affirming oneself. But the alternate side of that coin is not degrading oneself or denigrating oneself and saying, I'm sorry, I'm sorry, I'm sorry, when you already have an internal feeling that you may have done something to hurt, harm, or offend another person, and then labeling yourself as a result of that action over time actually has a negative impact on your person.
Absolutely.
Not thinking about that. So when we even teach our kids to say, I'm sorry, very early on, it's not just what you're saying to yourself, but it's also the fact that it's in conjunction with you knowing that you did something or believing that you did something that you wish you hadn't done or had done differently.
Right.
So you already have a feeling of, that wasn't my strongest moment. And in that same breath, you're telling yourself you're sorry. That's like telling yourself you're ugly, or telling yourself you stink, or telling yourself you're not worthy. It's just something that we have normalized. So because you've heard it so many times, you're like, what's the problem with it? But just because you've experienced something repeatedly and normalized it doesn't mean it's beneficial to you.
Absolutely. And even in dealing with children, right? When she said, we teach children to say, I'm sorry. If you notice the body language and then how kids start to respond to them feeling like they know that they've done something wrong. But after they say that I'm sorry, their demeanor is, I'm sorry. Like everything in them deflates.
Okay.
And the important thing about words, and we need to debunk that sticks and stones may break, words hurt. And not just the words that we speak to other people, but the words that we speak to ourselves.
That's right.
Those things hurt. So when we're telling a child to normalize telling themselves that they're sorry, we're normalizing hurting yourself.
That's right.
And so when we see the reaction or the response, of course, children are not in control of their emotions. So they are honestly a little bit more genuine, and they will wear how they feel on their sleeve. That's why you'll see their demeanor change. That's why you'll see a sad face. That's why they might even cry if they know that they've done something wrong. But now we're saying it's okay for you to feel like that about yourself.
So what's the normal demeanor that you see? Because like when you said what you said about a kid saying I'm sorry and putting her head down, I could visualize that. All right. So I definitely understand that. Can you give me the same perspective for I apologize?
So I apologize is one, it's accountability and ownership. And in ownership and accountability more so is me coming to the table saying, how do I make this right? Not just resting in what I did wrong, but then how do I move forward in that with you? So I'm taking accountability. What do I need to do? Or what am I going to choose to do to rectify the wrong that I've done to you?
Yes. And so this is connected to when you've heard us speak before about the apology languages, right? There's such a focus on the 5 love languages, and those are important. But if you happen to navigate to the 5 love language website, right on the same page is the apology language. That one is much less discussed. And whenever I post about it, it's going to get much less engagement. People don't want to talk about apologies, but they're really, really important. And when we talk about a relationship not being able to thrive without effective conflict resolution, apologizing when one is wrong and making things right is very important. And how I would receive an apology is going to be different than how Erica would receive it, which is different from how you receive it. So if you're working to have and build something with another party, it's important for you to know what your partner receives as a sincere apology.
Yes.
There are languages to it. So when Erica was just saying, I want to do something, make amends and make it right, that's the language of making restitution, for example. Some people, you can apologize all day, but until you do something to make this right, I don't think you actually mean it. For some people, just giving a sincere apology, that is satisfactory. For others, another language is planned change. Like, I apologize and I'm going to do this different. Right? So when you just say, I'm sorry, you're not, first of all, you're labeling yourself, and we already talked about that, but you're also not moving forward into how can we progress from here? The message, as you said, for this unit is progression and growth and moving forward. I apologize, and what's coming after that?
Gotcha. So I want to bring it closer to the culture. How do you translate my bad, bro? Because that's a term.
I mean,
I
would
did
say
something.
We mean you apologize.
Right. I interpret my bad as I'm acknowledging something that I did.
My action.
And exactly. My actions caused something. And you know what? That's on me.
Okay. I was just curious. I think that's just a slang term that we use commonly. So I wanted just to see what you thought about that, Mike.
Is it fair to think that I'm sorry sounds more descriptive of oneself? Like you're describing yourself as a sorry person?
That's exactly what we're aiming to say.
Okay.
Yes. You're labeling yourself. Like, when you say it as a contraction, it may be harder to process, but if you say it out, I am sorry.
Oh, I got you.
Right? And whenever you describe yourself, it's helpful for you to do it in a positive and uplifting way. Whenever, just like, again, going back to affirmations, it's to affirm you. Not that there's nothing you need to work on, grow on, or things you've never done wrong, but I'm not going to focus there. I'm going to focus on here's where I'm doing well. So that if you're already in motion, you'll stay in motion, right? Unless you come in contact with something else. But if you're not in motion and you're still, it takes more energy to get moving.
Right.
So what I'm saying is don't slow yourself down or keep yourself still. Keep yourself in motion. I apologize, and this is what we're going to do. Like, we're still moving forward versus, I'm sorry, man. And then possibly sitting and stewing.
That's it. And we've seen different examples. I know that growing up, I've seen different examples of, between parents or aunties and uncles, when one party does something, it's just one of those things like, well, you know what, it's okay. You don't have to fix me no food tonight. Like, I understand. Like, why is there going to be a continued consequence after we've already made the decision as to how we're going to move forward? It goes back, and I always go back to the scripture of, love keeps no record of wrong. We had this discussion, we talked about it, and after we talked about it, we had an agreement as to what the best way to move forward and actually get past it. If I can continuously after the fact say, well, remember yesterday and remember last week, but that's what we're doing to ourselves by continuing to use that type of language. We sit in it, and then it hinders us from being able to move forward.
Got you.
And I'm gonna tell you right now, because I kind of feel already the fellas be coming from us like, that's female talk. That's not how we talk. We talk how we talk. Ain't nobody finna let y'all turn us into a chick.
That's why I brought it into my bad, bro. I wanted to see how I wanted to get your perspective on it. It's not a right or wrong, but it's your perspective that you're giving. And so I wanted to, that's how I would speak to Mike or any dude in the sense of that's just the language that's commonly used amongst us.
Yes. And
so you mean to tell me that you'll get your hair done, your nails done, and your makeup done, but then you won't do anything to help you?
Girl, that math ain't mathing.
No. So when is it going to be the time that we stop working on the outer things and start figuring out the inner things?
Girl, I think the time is now. And so for you, I'd encourage you to strut over, slide over, get on through, getandstaymarried.com. Because what we have for you is not just this great conversation like we're having today.
Yes.
But it's an entire community to help you know and love yourself, but focus on what we put in and what we put on. So all our clients have a personal stylist, a year with a finance coach, a flexibility coach, a sex educator, because there's a lot of people having sex,
but they not good at it.
Oh, don't let that be you. So go ahead, sis, slide on through, getandstaymarried.com. But for now, back to the show.
For those who choose to use language that is less empowering regularly, you often don't realize the impact that has on your ability to communicate with others in a compassionate and loving manner on a regular. Because you talk how you talk. And it's almost like what we were referencing in another episode about the willingness to grow is I talk how I talk, take it, either you're going to be with it or you're not. That is a decision, and you could also grow. You could recognize that what you're doing isn't helpful. It doesn't matter how you grew up, doesn't matter how you talked on the playground, high school, whatever, and that we've normalized this. It's not helping. And the more you continue to talk that way to yourself, you simply don't have the muscle memory then to just completely turn it 180 and then talk to your spouse or your girlfriend or whoever differently. And men set the tone in relationships. Period. You set the tone in the relationship. So if you come in, women multiply and respond to what men bring in, right? But men set the tone. So if a man comes in and he's being very abrasive because that's how he treats himself, and so that's how he treats her, then that is going to impact how that relationship goes, because she's going to respond to what you bring, right? So that's why, even though it may sound mushy or soft or whatever, we have to start with you. So we have to start with, how do you talk to you? And if you want to be recognized as the leader in the home,
That's right.
you want to be recognized as the man in the home,
That's right.
then you got to take the accountability and responsibility for setting the tone.
Yeah.
And you might be tone deaf if you keep talking to yourself in this manner that is so disempowering. You'll talk to your wife like that. You'll talk to your kids like that. And then it just continues to trickle down.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Mike.
So I had a different perspective of that, because I talk very highly of myself in most all rooms. So I say often, I am who I am. I'm built like a god. Like I just say things like that to myself, and I try to empower other people to think the same. But oftentimes, most people say I'm overly confident about the way I look at myself. What do you got to say about that?
I say that people often speak from their pain, and
You're projecting their insecurity.
yeah, there it is. They don't feel comfortable speaking the way that you speak about yourself, about themselves, and they don't want you to do it because you're making them uncomfortable.
Absolutely.
And when you get to a certain level, you just kind of hear that, and it's like, okay,
And that's why I'm a butthead.
that's where you are.
Well, I don't
You
know
gotta-
about that.
No, he knows what I'm talking about.
Well, and
But you just said I'm a. But
I get it. No, that's their description of them, and I'm like, they don't have the confidence to speak like
I
this
see
in my
what you're
presence.
saying.
So like the way I carry myself, I don't go around at people and belittle you.
Yes,
So the
right.
way they feel about whatever I present, and however, that's them projecting their insecurities, and they don't feel comfortable in the room, and it's
I'm about to tell
okay.
you
This room
something.
ain't for everybody.
Here we go. What you say can't make another person feel anything anyway.
Boom.
You feel what you feel.
That's why I said they still work with me, because at the end of the day, they know that I'm actually empowering them. They just fail to want to grow.
yeah.
But they know they need to, so that's why they still deal with me. But they just haven't came to them terms on their own.
I'm gonna tell you guys a real like personal experience I had. There was someone that I had known for years, and I didn't, know that she had any underlying anything. And clearly I do a bunch. I'm a lot. The personality is big. I'm here. What's happening? What we doing? Where we going? And she came to me years later, and she was like, I didn't like certain things about you for a long time. And she went down this list. Like, I just felt like you was extra. I felt like you always did too much. Like, it was like I always, and I mean, she went like all the way back. She was just like,
Wow.
we would be in church and it would be one of those things like, it don't take all that to praise Jesus. It's like, you critiquing the way I praise Jesus.
Right.
And it was a very, very eye-opening experience for me, because the last thing she said, one, she always stayed in communication with me. She wasn't a close friend of mine, but I did know her, and we were associates. She said, I realized that I was jealous of you because I wasn't as free as you.
Wow.
And that's
vulnerable.
Yes.
And
Yes.
it was only my job to sit there and listen. And there was no offense in me because she had a growth moment. Like, I'm not gonna be like, I didn't care how she got there, how she got to the realization of, I want to be able to be myself more. I want to be able to walk in my authentic self. I don't care how she got to that point. It was just the realization of, at all costs, if you can't do nothing else, you have to be yourself. And you have to be yourself to the best of your ability.
Ooh, that's a good note to end on right there.
There it is.
At all costs, be yourself.
That's it.
Woo! For those who don't feel like themselves and need a little bit of uplifting, a little bit of molding, a little bit of just like, peeling back layers, and then be able to then go forward.
Yes.
Where can they get, contact with you guys?
They can contact us at getandstaymarried.com.
Or the Marriage Makeover on IG.
You heard it there. Hey, don't forget to like, subscribe, comment. Let us know what you think. You know what I'm saying? So if you found this very valuable, man, don't forget to even share it.
Yeah.
Again, tell a friend and tell a friend, and we'll see you next week. Peace.